saw me in a movie and I was a little girl, but now I'm an old bat. And I probably look about like Methuselah. Oh yes, I have to put an A on it because Methuselah was a man and I am a girl. Yeah, I'm a girl. Anyway, I thought that I would sing a song for you that my mother used to sing to me. And then you can see whether I can sing or not, and whether you like me or not, okay? Just a wearying for you, all the time of feeling blue, wishing for you, wondering when you'll be coming home again, restless, don't know what to do. Just a wearying for you. Morning comes, the birds awake. You used to sing so for your sake. And know there's sadness in the notes that come trilling from their throats. Seems they feel your absence too. Sits me wearying for you. Evening comes, I miss you more. When the dark looms round the door, seems as though you ought to be there to open it for me. Latch goes tinkling, thrills me through. Sets me wearying for you. Grazie. Grazie. He likes that song.
Yes.
He told me he was going to cry.
Only little.
Only a little. Oh. So what do you want to, what should we do? Should we tell him how I started work?
Yes.
Well, when I was 6 months old, my mother took me down to central casting. And I had pictures. And in central casting, you then are liable to be called to go to a studio for an interview. And at that time they had what were called cattle calls. Now a cattle call is when a studio wants, say, a year-old child or a 2-year-old baby. And then they call up everybody who has a year-old or 2-year-old child. And everybody in Hollywood who has one goes there, and there might be 50, 75, 85 horrible little brats going for the job. And that's called a cattle call. And then eventually I got a job in our gang. There was an ad in the Hollywood Citizen News. Hal Roach wanted to get new kids in our gang. And so he had a tent in Palms, and it was all set up with all these horrible little children and their horrible little parents, and they were spit cleaning them. You know, the handkerchief, spit cleaning them, combing them, and the little monsters are singing and dancing and doing all sorts of things that Al Roach didn't want. And my mother took me over there, and I was dressed in a black velvet dress. I'm 3 years and 10 months old. I'm dressed in a black velvet dress with a lace collar, and I have lace socks on. I have a bonnet, black velvet bonnet, with ostrich feathers on it, white, and white kid gloves. Now, of course, all of you dress your children like that, and they're 3 years and 10 months old. And Mama bulldozed her way right up to the stage in this tent and puts me up on stage. And they start taking the film, and I start crying. Why? I have no idea. And anyway, Bob McGowan had pockmarks all over his face. And he hated anybody to mention his pockmarks. So I was very diplomatic. He picked me up, and I looked at him, stopped crying, stuck my finger in one of the pockmarks, and said, "Oh, what lovely dimples." And I got the job. And I was on a 3-picture deal. And the first picture, I supposedly had to go up with a goat in an elevator, and I cried. I had to do, at a table, they had a jack-horner pie as something that goes pop, and I cried, and I don't know what the third one was, but I cried, and I was fired. And so I went back home to the hotel we were living in, and my mother was not very happy with me for about the next month. And then we got a telephone call from Hal Roach that he had bags and bags and bags of mail of fans that thought I was cute. And he gave me a contract for 5 years.
When I was watching the film today, I wondered, what were your relations like with the other kids? I mean, did you hang out with them? Did you like them?
No, they were all much older than I was. And that sort of comes into education, because Mrs. Carter, who was the teacher, you see, at that time when you were in movies, all the kids went to a professional children's school, because in a professional children's school they could let you out for interviews. And you would take your lessons with you and either do it as homework, or if you got the job, then there was a teacher on the set. But Mrs. Carter, who was a teacher for the R Gang, thought I was too little, and she wasn't going to waste time teaching me. But Joe Cobb, the fat one, and Farina, the dark boy with the rags in his hair, they took over my education. And I would stand between them. They were the chair. They had a bar at the bottom to hold the legs together, and I'd put one foot on one chair, on Farina's chair, and another foot on Joe's chair, and they would give me, 2 and 2 and 4 and 4, and they would teach me how to write. And so actually, until I was, 6 or 7, I think Joe and Farina educated me. That's how I got my beginning education.
So you were good friends, the kids together?
Just them.
Just them too, yeah.
And the one I liked best, the 2 people I liked best was Joe Cobb's father, who was a very nice man, and Farina's mother, who was a very, very loving woman. They used to have contests all over the country for our gang kids. And one year it would be for a fat boy, or another year it would be for me, or for Farina, or one of the kids. They would have, in all of the theaters, they'd have these contests. And then the winner would go to Hollywood, and they'd have a little bit part in the movie, and stay for a week, and then they'd all go home, and that was the end of it. But one boy, the fat boy, chubby, Norman Chaney, he was taken in the gang, and he was in the gang for a while. I'll tell you how long, eventually. But Norman's mother, where Joe Cobb was fat, and his father kept him from eating chocolates or drinking Coke or having anything fattening, because Joe had some kind of a condition that he was fat, and his father did his best to keep him from getting any fatter. Where Norman's mother stuffed him with potatoes and gravy and everything, candy bars and chocolate and ice cream and everything that just make him fat. She was so afraid he'd get thin and lose the job. And he made a few pictures and then he went home. He grew tall, and so he went home. And the sad part is that Chubby, Norman Chaney, died at 18 years old, and he had made 18 pictures, one for every year of his life. And he died from a disease caused from his fat, whatever it was, he died from that. Mm. And I think that's very sad, but that's what many times did happen. Weezer was kept small because he smoked and drank with his father's permission. But he was another sad thing because he died in 1941 in a plane crash as a cadet, in a plane crash, an Army Air Force cadet. So he didn't have very long to live. But it's so sad, these things that greed of the parents who have gone to Hollywood, the same as the X Factors today go on television. They went to Hollywood then to become stars. And when they didn't become stars, they became car hops, dressers in the theater, maybe makeup artists, something. And their kids were put in show business. And so the children were making money, and they were getting a vicarious thrill of when we were called on stage, we were called on the set. We were not called. It was Mrs. Darling on the set with Jean, Mr. Cobb on the set with Joe. We were never, so that the parents were the stars. We were merely the adjuncts.
Well, having broken our hearts.
Yes. Yes.
You're going to sing?
What? You want me to sing?
Well, to cheer us up a bit after those sad stories.
Should we do it about greengrocers?
Sure.
There is a fruit store on our street. It's run by a Greek. Now, he sells very nice things to eat, but you should hear him speak. Whenever you ask him anything, he never answers no. He just yeses you to death. And when he takes your dough, he says, yes, we have no bananas. We have no bananas today. We have string beans and onions and cabbages and scallions and fresh fruit, and we say we have old-fashioned tomatoes and red island potatoes. And yes, we have no bananas. We have no bananas today. Donald, do you have any bananas?
I have no bananas, no.
Why?
Because I didn't get to the greengrocer today. I was too busy watching you on the screen.
Oh, it's sad. I thought you might have a banana. You have a banana? Do you have a banana?
Yes, I have no bananas.
Oh, do you have bananas out there? Well, seeing that you have no bananas out there, would you like to sing with me? Yes, we have no bananas. Come on, get going. You're sitting out there doing nothing. We're up here working. Honestly, you're sitting there loafing on the job. Now you gotta sing. Come on, all together now. Yes, we have no bananas. We have no bananas today. String beans. String beans and onions and cabbages and scallions and fresh fruit and we say we have no tomatoes and no potatoes. But yes, we have no bananas. We have no bananas. think of another one to sing?
Another one.
Yeah.
All the ones you have in mind. How about
Well,
one song that you can try to make sense of, but doesn't make any sense, so you won't.
Yes, you could do that, but what about down in the Medi, in the Medi, Medi, Poo, Medi, and the Piddies and the Mama Piddy too, Piddy, Piddy, Mama Piddy, Piddy, Putan, and the fam, right? No? There's don'ts and dozy don'ts and little lazy divey, a kiddly divey too, wouldn't you? There's don'ts and dozy don'ts and little lazy divey, a kiddly divey too, wouldn't you? If the words sound weird and funny to your ears, a little bit jumbled and jivey, right, mares eat oats, and does eat oats, and little lambs eat ivy. Mares eat oats, and does eat oats, and little lambs eat ivy, a kiddly divey too, wouldn't you? Mares eat oats, and does eat oats, and little lambs eat ivy, a kiddly divey too, wouldn't you? Now you want to sing that? Come on, come on. Mares eat oats, mares eat oats, mares eat oats, and dozy dotes, and little lambs eat ivy, okay? Okay, now, let's get on the ball. Mares eat oats. You're not supposed to clap, you're supposed to sing! Canta, canta, canta!
Little lambs eat
Mares eat oats, and dozy dotes, and little lambs eat
ivy,
ivy,
a kiddly divey too.
wouldn't you? Mares eat oats, and dozy dotes, and little lambs eat ivy,
A kiddly divey too, wouldn't you?
the words sound weird and funny to your ears, a little bit jumbled and jivey. Sing, mares eat oats, and does eat oats, and little lambs eat ivy. Mares eat oats, and does eat oats, and little lambs eat ivy, a kiddly divey too, too. Mares eat oats, and does eat oats, and little lambs eat ivy, a kiddly divey too.
Wouldn't you?
You're all fired! They're useless!
Don't sack them all. One or two are doing very well. They were trying very hard, so don't sack them all.
Not sack them
No,
all?
no,
All
don't
right,
sack them
I'll
all.
take that one there in the pink shirt. She's okay. Okay. And this boy
He's
here,
okay.
he did try, so
Yeah.
he's okay. He can stay. Other requests that I don't know?
I think that's the first time we've done a request number, isn't it?
If there is, just give me the music, I'll sing it. Just because I don't know something. I mean, I don't know a lot of things. Is there anything else you want to know?
Yes, how did you get on with Mary Ann Jackson, the plain girl in the...
Well, Mary Ann was all right, but she drove me damn nuts. Absolutely bonkers. Because all that girl did was play jacks. There she was with her little ball and the little things going bounce, 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 bounce. She made me sick. Outside of that, she was all right. But she played jacks all the time, and I saw no point in jacks.
So what did you do to amuse yourself if you didn't play jacks?
Well, you'll probably laugh if I tell you. I read dictionaries. I embroidered. They had a thing with a spool, and it had little nails in it, and you sort of knitted on this spool, and you would pull the thing down.
French knitting.
Yeah, on a spool. And that's what I did, and I read altogether 3 dictionaries. Well, I'll tell you why. I've told this story before. You've asked why I read dictionaries. Well, I think it's why. When I was about 7 years old, 8 years old, I used to go out to MGM, and Eddie Mannix was one of the head honchos there, and his secretary was named Mrs. Partridge, and she had a beehole desk and I'd sit in the beehole of the desk and read Sax Rohmer's Fu Manchus. And one day I'm sitting under there reading Fu Manchu. I like Fu Manchu because he had a little marmoset. And that's why I like Fu Manchu, because he had this little monkey and he lived in his sleeve. And these legs appear. And a hand comes down and fishes me out and takes the book out of my hand and is horrified because I'm 7, 8 years old reading Sax Rohmer. And he says, "Miss Partridge, why do you let this child read this awful stuff? You know, you shouldn't let her read books like this." And she said, "I'm awfully sorry, Mr. Gable, but she does read these books." Well, it was Clark Gable, and so he went away. And a few weeks later, I was back under the desk, and I was again reading Sax Rohmer because I had a whole drawer full of them. And he had the Blue Fairy book in his pocket. And in the back of the Blue Fairy book, he had a pad and pencil. And he said, "If you find a word that you do not understand, mark the page, the line it's on, and how far in the word is, write the word down, look it up in the dictionary, then go back to the book, read it, so that you understand how it's used." And so I did that, and I think that's probably why I became interested in reading dictionaries.
It had a lasting effect, because over the last year, Miss Darling has written a quite long novel.
Yes.
Which I've begun to read, and it's a good read.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, what else are you going to do, for heaven's sakes? I mean, when you get past 36, what are you going to do? And I'm a heck of a way past that.
Rockabye your baby with a Dixie melody. When you croon a tune from the heart of Dixie. Just hang that cradle, mammy mine, right on that Mason-Dixon line, and swing it from Virginia to Tennessee with all the love that's in ya. Weep no more, my lady, sing that song again for me. Oh, Black Joe, just as though you had me on your knee. A million baby kisses I'll deliver
what you should do is not clap me, clap him. He is kind of, in a musical way, God's gift to me, because he's wonderful.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, to think, you didn't grow up probably watching Little Rascals as I did, but to have come here a few years ago and find that someone I watched on television and I listened to her beautiful voice on records, it's a miracle. You are a miracle.
Oh, you are. Donald, I have told you 1,000 times that you're only as good as your accompanist.
And your accompanist is only as good as the piano.
All right, but it's true. You're only as good, a performer, their entire performance can be destroyed if you don't have somebody like him. And there's only one of him in the whole world.
Legati a te, io t'amo sempre più, nel sogno mio rimani tu, non ti scordar di me, la vita mia legati a te. Somebody